Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit asbgold.com. That's asbgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.
Feisty, fearless, and fair. She's an Emmy-winning journalist from the White House to war zones, telling all sides of the story. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, boy, is there a lot happening tonight. We love playing that intro music because it is so good and it is a Friday night. But you got to stay with me because who knows what's going to be happening now with President Trump in Iran. There could be action at any moment. And boy, we're all waiting to see what's going to happen. Will indeed the U.S. get a deal from Iran, and will it be acceptable? Can we trust but verify? There are so many questions tonight because who knows when you're dealing with the Iranians if they'll even pretend to come to a deal. And of course, there's been all these different skirmishes of late. U.S. forces disabling a couple vessels that were Iranian that were trying to come to the blockade area. They were saying, no, turn around. They quickly disabled them. And then also Iran yesterday, as we know, was firing on Navy destroyers with missiles and drones and these small little boats. And President Trump said, you know what, we will fire back, but it's just a defensive measure. This is cut number 3. This is Secretary Marco Rubio. Go ahead.
Well, I guess, but the point is, if there's not much seizing in the firing, because we
well, you should ask that of the Iranians. Don't ask me. We didn't fire. They fired on us. My point is, if you fire at a U.S. Navy ship, what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, there's a ceasefire. We're not going to shoot down your drone. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid position to take. Of course we fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect to do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at. And we're not a stupid country.
Do you expect that, or have you conveyed any red lines to Iran where, if the ceasefire or whatever you call it, if they...
Well, the red line is clear. They threaten Americans, they're going to get blown up. I mean, that's how much clearer can you be than that? If you are a missile launching guy, whatever they call that job, and you're sitting there and you fire a missile at the United States and we saw you fire it, we're going to hit you. Of course we are. Who doesn't do that? Unless you want to get your ship sunk. I mean, we're not going to let our ships get sunk by the Iranians with their little, their drones that they're firing. They don't have a navy anymore, but they bring out these little Boston whaler fishing boats and they try to swarm you. We're going to blow those boats up if they're coming towards our boats. I don't know if that's a red line, but I hope they know it is by now. So if I were one of these Iranians on a fast boat and they tell you, hey, your mission is to go after a U.S. destroyer, you're probably not going to survive. I think that's a red line.
Good for him. Clear as day. I love it. But General Jack Keane, who is a retired 4-star general, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, he believes that this is just stalling by the Iranians, that they are just kind of dragging out the clock like they've done for years upon years. But especially right now that they have a deadline that they think they can kind of try to drag it out. And that is, of course, the midterm elections in November, because if the Democrats maybe get the House, maybe if they get the House and the Senate, it might embolden them. And then it's off to the races in terms of the presidential campaign. So there are a lot of things that can change. They could try to block him within Congress. They'll try to block everything in his agenda. They'll also probably try to impeach him, too. I bet you they'll try to do that on day one. So there's so many of these different steps that could happen. So General Jack Keane says the Iranians, once again, are just trying to run out the clock. Take a listen to what General Jack Keane had to say.
Well, I think, listen, the president has people around him that really have been pushing a negotiated deal, right before the Israelis attacked. Remember that, going back into prior to June?
That's right, yeah.
Gave them a 60 days to do it, and they didn't do it. And then he green-lighted the Israelis in June to begin the so-called 12-day war, and then we destroyed part of their nuclear enterprise. So we've had these people involved in this. Listen, so we understand, the Iranians are masters at this. How many times have we heard, it looks like we're going to be close to a deal? They really want to make a deal. I don't dispute that our negotiator is a liar or anything. The Iranians come forward and say, yeah, we're ready to do this now. We're ready to do that. And they're telling our guys this, but they're lying to them. They're bold-faced lying to them. Because when it comes down to really putting chips on the table, remember we went to they took the Straits of Hormuz, and why did they take the Straits of Hormuz and establish a toll booth there? They wanted us to stop the war. What did we do? We stopped the war. And then we went into a 2-week deadline for negotiations. And that's what they were telling our guys. Hey, we're going to make a deal. But then when it comes down to put it on the table, Vahidi, who's in charge of the IRGC, he says, no, we're not doing that. And, our guys came home and their guys came home. Here we are, back doing it again. Why are we doing it again? Because the Iranians are playing for time. The closer they get to what John is talking about, the midterm elections, they believe the more pressure is on President Trump. And really what they want President Trump to do is not so much make a bad deal, which I don't think he'll do. They just want him to stop the war, declare victory. It's over. They survive and they go on to recover and continue to rule the country. That is the game that these guys are playing. Yep. That's their strategy. And I think we're walking right into it.
Well, General Jack Keane also has another message saying, guess what? No more Mr. Nice Guy, that there's about 20% of the targets left, and that the Iranians are just kind of, as I mentioned, playing for time, playing for keeps, playing for politics, just trying to drag it out, and that President Trump should do one thing: finish the job. Finish the job. That's what he's saying. Take a listen.
Finish the military job, and then we hold hot. Right now, we're blocking everything coming out of Cargallen. That's the distribution point for their oil. They have a pipeline that leads from the mainland to it. It's about 16 miles off the coast. We can absolutely force almost immediate economic collapse on that after we finish the military operation if we destroyed all of their oil and gas infrastructure that they have. We could hold that over their head and bring them to the deal that I'm talking about is the terms of surrender. We probably don't need to call it that, but that's what it is, as opposed to unfreezing frozen assets, removing sanctions, and giving the regime a lifeline so that they are going to recover at some point. And what a gut punch that is for the 90 million Iranian people there that are really hoping that this regime is so hurt that they're susceptible to collapse. And getting them involved in this is something we should be doing with a CIA and a Mossad as well. That's my thoughts on it in terms of kind of where we are right now.
This is big stuff. And let the Israelis do their job. Let them open throttle, right? They're ready to go. So there are a lot of reports tonight that maybe the U.S. should just say, okay, Israelis, have at it. And we'll be there right by your side. The Israelis are the best at taking out the leadership. They're the best with that intel type stuff. They want to go after them. They want to finish the job. They want definite regime change. There is no doubt about it. So they're ready to go in full throttle. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania, line 4. Joaquin, how are you doing, my friend? How you doing today?
Hanging in there.
Oh, good. We're so happy to hear from you, Joaquin. You're the best. So what do you think about all this with the war?
Rita, I had a disturbing conversation with a good friend of mine this afternoon. And he's been my best friend since like 6th grade. And, anyway, he lives in New York, so I don't see him that often. But he was saying something about how he was disappointed, with Donald Trump, and how things are going as far as that goes. And I tried to explain to him, Dave, I said, you're hearing misinformation. This is a problem. Because he even mentioned something about $1 billion being put into the renovations at the White House. and of American taxpayer money. And the mainstream media is just distorting things and brainwashing a lot of people in this country. And that's a scary, scary thing when you're talking about a guy who voted. He's a veteran. He served off the coast of Iran during the first Iranian hostage crisis in the submarine, And when I hear these things, it really bothers me, And I try to explain it. And even as John Catsimatidis said, the price of gas in this country is being artificially manipulated. You can't blame these things on President Trump because, as far as I'm concerned, he's been doing everything, the best that he can for this country, and does not always have the support, of the people that he needs.
And listen, he has been unbelievably courageous in his actions. I mean, whether it's, with sealing the border, taking the fight to Iran. I mean, what other president, you think about it, I mean, it hasn't been a lot of time. Think about what he's done in such a short bit of time, Joaquin.
Right. This is for the preservation of Western civilization, really. For the United States of America, as a sovereign nation, but Western civilization, in itself. And if the average person doesn't really start to see it and understand it, because the truth of the matter is as you look at the history of the world, it's a history of people who conquer and who are being conquered. It's as simple as that. And do we really want to be conquered by somebody else? And unfortunately, so people really, really need to open up their eyes. But somehow this news media thing, they have all their ducks in a row. They have plenty of people to sit there and do their research, come up with ways to put out false information. And we just don't have that on our side.
Yeah, they buy it hook, line, and sinker. On the other hand, Joaquin, I mean, you look at what's doing great in terms of some of the media and radio. I mean, there are a lot of places where everybody is welcome, including here. And you look at those ones are doing great in the numbers, and some of the ones that are doing the spin control, those guys are dwindling. So I think Americans are waking up, but your point is a very good one. But I do think Americans are waking up and realizing that there is a lot of manipulation, and the messaging is, because you see it, they see the wait a minute. Oh, wait, they're out there saying that illegal aliens should have full health care, but Americans, I'm not sure. Wait, that doesn't sound right. I mean, some of it is so loony. Don't you think that people are just going, wait, I think people, if they step back and realize that there is such a political spin in the media, it'll help them have a better perspective. But it is a shame because sometimes it's hard to figure out. It's like alternate universe. You look at it and it's like Trump is doing the worst thing with Iran. Wait a minute. He went into Iran for this noble mission, and he's the only president, in my lifetime that's had the guts to go after Iran. I mean, it really is remarkable. Joaquin, it's always so good to hear from you. Thank you so much, Joaquin. Really terrific stuff. Thank you. And you have a great weekend. Let's go to Eduardo in Tampa Bay, Florida on line 3. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Yeah, good evening, Rita. I'm glad that you're talking about that police officer that they had the funeral services today. As you know, I lived in Chicago, and I lived the last few years in a Chicago police neighborhood. Oh, wow. Because they had a rule where they had to live in the city. Oh, wow. Yeah. And this is ridiculous. We have an aide to a congressman who was indicted for $31,000 in wire transfer. He doesn't want to quit. So this is ridiculous. Yet an Uber driver, 18-year-old, that was targeted, both of them killed. This is out in Chicago. One of the neighbors I grew up now, they had a motorcycle drive-by. There's a possibility that might have been somebody like a Trent Agua hit. Wow. That's scary. Right, a gang. Yeah. So this guy that killed these two officers was at Swedish American Hospital on the north side of Chicago. This guy robs a woman and says he ingested drugs. He was having trouble breathing. So he gets taken to the hospital, and that's where the unfortunate incident happens. And by the way, he beat the woman. Yeah, I saw the woman earlier. He really beat her horribly. I mean, it was and then like you said, he got the gun.
And then I want to play this. Eduardo, stay with me. I want to play, this is cut number 7. Okay. This is the Fraternal Order of Police president there in Chicago, because he is just, they are outraged. Yep, you got to hear. Good. Here it is. Here he is.
The smug attitude, the smiling, the smirking, the laughing, the I love yous from the family, even after hearing the despicable acts that this piece of did. It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's the reason the death penalty should still be in Illinois. One is enough. We keep talking about one is enough when we talk about a police-involved shooting. One is too many. What about one police officer being murdered? It's never too many. We are sacrificial lambs for the politicians in this city and state. It needs to stop. It just does.
Really heartbreaking. Losing one. A father of 3, well-known, beloved, this John Bartholomew. And then the other guy is fighting for his life, right? The other guy is still not out of the woods yet.
The other guy is fighting for his life, right? Yeah, the chief is Larry Snell, and he should have been fired. I mean, anybody in the Trump administration is listening. Mayor Brandon Johnson should be arrested. Over there in MacArthur Park, which is notorious for crime, they had a DEA fentanyl bust over there in Karen Bass's neighborhood over there, city. She's another one. She should be arrested, too. It's ridiculous. L.A., Chicago, both of these out of control. And they got governors that are running for president. Can you believe that? Yeah,
thinking they're ready. They did such a good job with their cities.
Right.
You know, you can't make it up, Eduardo. Now they're ready to advance to the national stage. Like we want, we want America to look like L.A. and we want America to look like Chicago, in terms of, the way they handle crime. What a mess. What a mess. Eduardo, thank you. Terrific points. 1-800-848-9222. We'll continue after the break.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
Rita Cosby is on.
And when we come back, we're going to talk more about this terrible case in Chicago. Also now a guy who gets out of a psych ward in New York City pushes a guy down the stairs, and UFO files released tonight.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix's Remarkably Bright Creatures. What if a Pacific octopus held the key to a mystery that could heal your heart? Well, that's Tova's reality. An elderly widow working at an aquarium. Tova forms an unlikely friendship with the curmudgeonly Marcellus, whose remarkable intelligence leads her to a life-changing discovery. Remarkably Bright Creatures is now playing, only on Netflix.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And it's a busy Friday night here on the Rita Cosby Show. President Trump waiting to see if they will get a response from Iran. They said they would do it in the next 24 hours or so, and that was many hours ago. So let's see if they come back and agree to the deal. If not, you can bet President Trump is probably not going to waste much time and maybe, as he said, turn Iran into a big, bright glow. In other words, they will pound the heck out of them. And I frankly think it's probably going to have to take that, but we will see. It could be a busy weekend. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Also, President Trump releasing the UFO files. There were about 160 sort of different files talking about 400 different encounters. And it was wild because some of them actually seemed pretty credible. I mean, it's wild. They're from like Air Force pilots and from some other individuals. Some of them you go, that doesn't look like a UFO. That looks like a submarine sandwich or whatever. But then there's others where it's like, credible people from the military say they saw this, or pilots, astronauts saw certain things that they say they saw near the moon. So it's certainly worth exploring. There certainly seems to be at least a lot more questions. And apparently these files that just came out are just the tip of the iceberg. Supposedly there's a whole bunch more. And this is just a little smidgen of the information. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And meantime, also the big story tonight are these soft on crime judges. By the way, Sal, I love Sal. He always puts some good messages here on Twitter. You guys know I always look at my tweets, at Rita Cosby on Twitter. And Sal says, Rita, perhaps for the most part, these activist judges and those who favor them think that committing crime is somehow in a form of expression covered by the First Amendment. Sal, that is a doozy. That's a doozy. So I guess they think releasing them, that's some sort of First Amendment expression, just like those who are busing through the barricades in front of the Park East Synagogue. I guess that's a expression of First Amendment. You're right. Doozy, Sal. Very good. Well, I do think there should be some accountability to these folks who clearly crossed the line, whether it's a judge or whether it's a protester out there outside a synagogue. It's not free speech when you're barging through and pushing officers and when you're making others feel threatened, or if you're putting a criminal who never should be out back out on the streets. There's a lot of questions about that tonight. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And we were talking about Chicago because that seems to be a haven for it. And Sheridan Gorman is the beautiful Loyola University student. Remember, she was out there looking at the Northern Lights with her friends, and suddenly this guy, an illegal immigrant with a criminal past, came upon her and shot her in the back randomly. Then there was a Chicago alderman who came out and said, well, maybe she did something. Maybe she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, now Sheridan Gorman's parents are speaking out and saying, that illegal migrant was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And take a listen to what Sheridan Gorman's mother said, because she said right after this horrible incident happened, and by the way, the family's from Westchester, New York. They're from their New York residence, but the daughter was going to university in Loyola, and apparently was a light to everybody, just a beautiful, wonderful woman. And Sheridan Gorman's mother said she was so touched that President Trump called her after the killing of her daughter, that it brought her some relief. Take a listen to what the mother said in an interview this week.
The outpouring of support, love, President Trump called us, and despite what people might think, he did not say one thing political. He just basically held us. His whole team calling out wonderful, supportive things. You know, he spoke to us as a father, as a grandfather. I actually cut him short because it was so emotional. And you know, the heartfelt support. I mean, people say they can see the love in her eyes. I mean, she was so expressive. She sparkled.
We are so sorry for your loss. She was a beautiful, vibrant young woman, and we all wish that we knew her, and we're grateful to you for bringing her into the world, and we wish you all the best, Madeline, in your future, which will be bright, no doubt.
Thank you so much, really.
All the moms and dads out there, give your kids a big hug. Tell them that you love them, because that's the one thing that gives us solace, is knowing that Sheridan knew how much we loved her.
Wow, what a powerful message. And of course, we're going to be thinking of Sheridan Gorman's mom this Mother's Day. What a powerful, powerful message. And her mother also said that she is just shocked at the policies of so many of these sort of left-wing politicians that seem to be putting illegal aliens over American citizens, pleading, saying, choose us, choose American citizens like my daughter, Sheridan Gorman.
When they're naming trucks and laughing and joking, several days after our daughter was murdered, we're waiting in Chicago to claim her body. It was more than infuriating. I don't have the vitriol that I felt was overwhelming. And again, I've never been a person who hates another person. I've never fought with people over politics. I respect everyone's view, everyone's life and their experiences have shaped how they believe, and I get that. But I want to understand desperately. I don't understand what these politicians are thinking. To me, things like that show that they value these undocumented migrants more than they value our American citizens, our American children. And honestly, you almost want to just make a plea, choose us. Choose my American child. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for my child and for yours.
Wow. Choose us. From a mother who has lost so much, the unimaginable Sheridan Gorman's mother, of course, the Loyola University student. And Rod Blagojevich joined us earlier on Katz and Cosby. Of course, he's the former Illinois governor. We were talking with him about this latest case of what happened also in Chicago, of this guy who had 7 priors, and he was out on electronic ankle monitoring. Why was he out? It's just unconscionable. And then he goes to a store, a Dollar General store. He beats the clerk up to a pulp. And then when the cops arrest him for the beating and the robbery, he says that he swallowed some drugs, so they take him to the hospital. Somehow he gets a gun and he opens fire, kills a cop, John Bartholomew, and then his partner is fighting for his life. So kills a cop and seriously, critically injures the other cop. This is just so horrible. And today there was a very powerful funeral for John Bartholomew. Different officers from around the country came out. You know how much I love our men and women in blue. And for me, this is such a powerful, powerful story. When I see that sea of men and women in blue saluting the coffin, I got so choked up. And then when you hear the background of this guy, Alfonso Talley, it just gets you so angry that a judge, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that when a guy has so many priors, he never should have been out on the streets. He had violent priors with like assault and a whole bunch of other stuff, and yet he was able to roam freely to come back to court. Why should the streets have to deal with this guy and this poor officer? Maybe he would be alive if this guy was behind bars. I mean, I think there needs to be some sort of accountability. It's infuriating. And what was even more infuriating, that apparently when this guy got back in court just recently, he was laughing in court when they were reading the charges to him about this latest case. So he gets taken into court and the guy is laughing in court, so much that the judge actually scolded him and said, "Could you, sir, not laugh in court? You're charged with some extremely serious crimes." Because he's probably just thinking, I'll get back out. I mean, that is just, it gets me so angry tonight to hear that. And here is former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich with his take on what's gone so horribly wrong in Chicago.
Well, this is the result of the Democratic leadership in Illinois these days. It wasn't like that when I was governor. But this is Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson, and before that, Lori Lightfoot. Less so her, frankly, more them. This is the Safety Act and no bail laws. This is the new effort by the Democratic Party to have more social workers and less police officers and defund the police. All of this wrapped in to this terrible tragedy. My prayers go out to Officer Bartholomew, his family. This was at Swedish Covered Hospital, which is a mile and a half from where I live. I run by that hospital sometimes, and I think about this officer. I think about 9/11 when I think about police officers and what they do, how they serve us. I think about the firefighters and 9/11 and the police officers when they were running up those buildings, trying to help people come out of those buildings, and so many of them lost their lives. The Democratic Party what they've done to the police is really disgraceful, and they don't have the backs of the police. They make the police the villains. And this guy is a 7-time convicted felon with a decade-long criminal history. He was arrested for on an outstanding warrant for escaping electronic monitoring, carjacked a woman at gunpoint in 2025. What is he doing on the streets? But this isn't an isolated case. There's something like 72,000 people in Cook County and in the Chicagoland area who are walking around with warrants, with outstanding warrants. So there's a reason why there's more than a murder a day in Chicago. There's a reason why Chicago is the crime capital of the world. And the blame lies not just with the perpetrators, certainly them, but with the leaders that we have here, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson and these crazy left-wing anti-police Democrats.
A murder a day in Chicago. And the judge in this case somehow didn't figure that out, that maybe you keep the bad guys behind bars. And this was clearly a blaring sign of a very dangerous individual. And imagine that, 72,000 outstanding warrants just in Cook County where Chicago is. That speaks volumes, that are roaming out there. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Stan in Brooklyn, line 3. Go ahead, Stan. Your thoughts tonight.
You're talking to me? You said Brooklyn.
Yeah, did they? Where? Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Sales, baby.
Sorry, they put it wrong there. Sorry.
Sorry.
Stan, you know what? I see Stan in Brooklyn. It was the wrong thing, wrong information. It's my favorite, Stan in Forest Hills.
Give me a break. But okay.
I know. Sorry, right, I know you, Stan. That's what they put. Well, we'll give them 5 lashes. Okay. Go ahead.
Take it as it's okay.
Go ahead,
right,
Stan.
It's tragic what happened there. Of course, it's tragic and so forth. That's the bail system and so forth in Chicago, in Illinois. But I wanted to talk about the Supreme Court and the Voting Rights Act, which has been basically gutted, finished. That's by this far-right Supreme Court that has done this. And the basic decision will basically destroy many communities in this country that have minority leadership there and minority large volume. And that's why the apportionment situation in this country will destroy. Not Republicans are as guilty as Democrats in this, both of them.
Oh, and by the way, everybody's been doing it, but
I just said that.
But Stan, I did hear. But you know what's disgraceful, Stan?
Oh, no, I find. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, I want to focus on the Virginia case because that's the states.
Well, I can focus on Texas. I can focus.
Right? No. I know. I'm talking about the Virginia case because that's the one today. And in that particular case,
I can talk to you about the Republican.
What do you make of Hassan? What do you make of Hassan Piker saying, let's do a revolution?
You met this guy on. He's nothing. He's not an elected official. He's nobody.
He has incredible influence.
I wouldn't give him nothing. Who is he?
You know what?
He's a friend of the idiot Mandani. I wouldn't give him 10 minutes.
He is somebody. Because you know why? Because a lot of people listen to him. And guess what? Politicians that you like seem to be embracing him. Chris Murphy, you're a Democrat. You seem to be defending him a lot. Chris Murphy is coddling this guy. There are a lot of guys. Ro Khanna, that guy from California, the congressman, he was on his podcast it was like a week or two ago. Knowing all these things. I mean, Stan, if somebody said death to America, Hamas did a great job essentially on October 7th and all these other things, now calling for a revolution. Do you think it's a good idea for any politician, whether it's Republican or Democrat, to be hanging out with this guy and going on his podcast?
What else is new? I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. But as far as the apportionment situation, it is basically destroying elections. There can never be competitive elections in this country anymore, from what I'm seeing. And again, Democrats are guilty as well as Republicans, both of them, both parties. Now, what can be solved in this? I don't know. But this coming election, you're more worried that the Democrats will get control and they'll go after Trump. I want to go after them, but I also want them to finish this thing with the war. But the problem is, what will happen? I would think the midterms right now are looking is at the moment 50-50. Initially, I would have said 60-40 Democrats, but with all this apportionments going on, I think it may be closer than we think.
I do too. By the way, Stan, I actually agree with you. I thought it looked better for them. Exactly. Exactly. Surprise! It's Friday.
No, I think it's still up in. I think the Democrats still have a good shot at taking the House. The Senate, I've said this before. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. It might be close, but I don't think so. And then the Iranian thing will also determine it and so forth, because this half-assed president talks too much.
What do you mean half-assed? You know what? This president, his half-ass has had a lot more guts than the ones who've had full asses that make an ass of themselves, Stan. I mean, you have got to be kidding me. You were making excuse after excuse, and then finally when the whole world realized that, Joe Biden was in a coma, would you want him right now? If Iran was on the cusp of a nuclear weapon, which I 100% believe they were and 100% believe they would use, and darn right, you wouldn't. So, you can call him half-assed, but he's got a lot more courage in his pinky than a number of these others that we have seen of late. And that says a lot. Stan, thank you. Have a good weekend. We love you. It's always good to hear from you, my friend. Have a good one. And you guys, we will continue after the break, 1-800-848-9222. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And everybody, this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment with a very powerful story from Brainerd, Minnesota, where the VFW and Daughters of the American Revolution hosted its 5th annual Vietnam Veterans Day celebration. One Vietnam veteran in attendance and recognized for his service was veteran Buford Johnson. He served as an advisor to the Vietnamese combat unit in Vietnam's Central Highlands and often came under extreme enemy fire. Upon sharing the stories of the war effort, he recounted how a severely wounded soldier survived after he and the helicopter pilot heroically made a landing to rescue the soldier and fly him to safety. When he was asked how he felt about his wartime experience, he responded, "It gave me a better understanding of human nature." And of course, we are so thankful to our great heroic Vietnam veterans. We love you. We appreciate you. Welcome home to you and your great families. And everybody, help America to never, ever forget. Donate just $11 a month to the absolutely incredible and very impactful Tunnel to Towers Foundation. They are the best and do so much for our veterans and for their families. Be sure to check them out at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And we will never forget about any of you guys. By the way, to all the moms out there, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed Mother's Day. And everybody, make sure you call your mom, think of your mom, and give her a hug each and every day, but especially on Mother's Day. Do not forget about the most important person, your mom. Let's go to Tony in Clifton, line 3. Go ahead, Tony, your thoughts tonight.
Rita, interesting night. When I think about the redistricting that the Democrats were attempting to do, and I hope that things stand firm that they do not get to do that.
Yep,
and when
really,
I think
yep.
of how the Democrats have trying to take away our citizenship in this country and make us transnational citizens, I think they're becoming a lot like Iran.
Oh, wow. Well, Tony, that's a powerful line. You got to do me a favor. This needs to be continued. I got a hard break. You got to call back Monday. We're going to leave that as a cliffhanger. Everybody have a great weekend and happy Mother's Day, everybody.
It's the Rita Cosby Show. Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.